speech entitled Flapping. Flapping, Robin Poole.
Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Now I know this speech is supposed to be humorous, but first of all, my therapist advised me to share with you something very sad that happened in my life recently. You see, I returned home only to find that my pet, Parrot Peter, had perilously and permanently plummeted from his perch. He was lying flat on his back, his little parroty legs stuck up in the air. He was dead. At first I thought it was a simple case of old parrot travelling along a very old and long road. But then I found the note. Written in his familiar, almost illegible claw writing, which he used to do with a quill made from one of his own feathers. And the note read as follows: Dear Robin, I just can't take your singing anymore. And if my legs were long enough, I would have stuffed something in my ears. So I've decided to leave this world. Good luck. Yours, Peter. P.S. If you ever get another pet, promise me you'll never put them through this auditory torture. Well, I was devastated. How could my singing have been that bad? So I started seeing a therapist. And only a week ago, my therapist said, Robin, it's time to move on. It's time to let another pet into your life. But I wasn't sure what sort of pet was going to suit me. So last Sunday I was flicking through one of those tiny Sunday newspapers and I came across an article entitled Pets Save People. I was very excited. I was expecting tales of cats calling the fire brigade because their owners had got stuck up a tree. Little fish on underwater miniature mobile phones calling the police because someone's broken into the living room. But it was much drier than that. It was all about how pets can alleviate a negative mood. But the bit that really interested me was when it talked about a researcher who would walk up and down a park with either a Labrador, a Rottweiler, or a yucca plant, whilst another researcher walked behind, making notes if people made eye contact, smiled, or actually engaged her in conversation. There was a clear winner. 1 in 10 people would stop when she had the Labrador. This was all the evidence I needed. I was going to get a dog. You see, I imagined walking my dog and women coming over to me to stroke my pets and engage me in conversation. So it was going to be a dog, but what sort of dog was I going to get? I didn't want one of those really tiny dogs where there was a serious risk of accidentally sitting on it in the living room. And a big dog was going to scare the girls. No, I needed a medium-sized dog. So, of course, I Googled it. And I didn't get a medium-sized dog. I got a medium-sized doggy door. Otherwise known as a dog flap. A bit like a cat flap, only for dogs. A portal of entry, so your dog can just come and go at free will in the back of the house. I loved the idea of getting a dog flap. So much, in fact, I was determined to get one. The problem was, though, with dog flaps, if it's too big, a burglar can actually climb through it and get into your house. And I couldn't let that happen. So I Googled burglars instead. And a bit like dogs, they also come in different shapes and sizes. Now I consider myself a medium-sized individual, and therefore I figured if I can't fit through a dog flap, neither can a burglar the same size as me, and especially not one bigger. It was a very busy Saturday morning in Pets World in Canterbury when I went to do my market research. I found the pet entry merchandise aisle and found a young shop assistant to come and help me. I asked her if she wouldn't mind taking it out of the box and standing with it about here. She asked me what sort of dog I had, with my fingers crossed behind my back. The first thing that came to mind was Great Dane. She asked me what it was called. I said, she is called Tiny. She thought that was a great name for such a big dog. Yes, I said, but as you've alluded to, Tiny is rather large, and I'm not sure she would fit through that flap. But she's about the same size as me. Could I have a go? Now, before she could answer, I had dived onto my hands and knees, and I was heading rapidly for the flap. As my head went through, I woofed. I got my left paw, my right paw, my left shoulder, my right shoulder, and I was stuck. I tried to move forwards, backwards, up, down, nothing. The shop assistant tried to tug it off me. It wouldn't budge. A smirk began to form in her face, and then she howled with laughter. And after a while, a small group of people and pets had gathered to watch this strange man trapped in a dog flap. There was only one thing for it. I made my way to the checkout, tail between my legs. I could just about push the buttons on the credit card terminal. I could just about change gear on the car on the way home. It had been a successful day. I had the right size dog flap. I knew what sort of dog I was going to get. 3 days later, I finally got the dog flap off. I returned to Pet's world, where I bought a fish. And a very tiny underwater mobile phone. I promised that fish that I would never ever sing in its presence. But for me, this tale of acquisition was much more than just about the pet. For me, it was a metaphor for greater things in my life. I realised how important it was to get the basics right first and worry about your flaps second. Madam Contest Chair.